Did you know the name Daniel actually means God is my judge? We're going to get into that in just a second. But hello to the chat, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this morning for our daily devotionals. We're going to be jumping into day 2 of part 3 of Running with the Giants. You can find them watersedgechurch.net/daily devotionals. You can follow right along. We're going to be getting into several different verses today. We're going to kick things off right in Daniel chapter 2, verses 20 to 23. I'm going to read them for you in my NIV study Bible, which I love. I recommend to you. You can get a good, inexpensive one off of Amazon, and I would just really encourage you to check that out, to really take it, your experience and your time with God to a whole nother level. And I'm actually going to show you with the last verse that we're going to read today, how much more you can get out of it when you have some study notes. Which is just study Bible, just has some extra study notes explaining what's happening, and so we're gonna talk about that in a second. But I'm excited. We're on day 2. If you get something out of this today, make sure you hit share and tag a friend, tag a family member who needs to hear it. Let's jump in. Daniel chapter 2, verses 20 through 23 goes like this: Praise be to the name of God forever and ever. Wisdom and power are His. He changes times and seasons. He sets up kings and deposes them. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. That's good. I thank and praise you, O God of my fathers. You have given me wisdom and power. You have made known to me what we asked of you, and you have made known to us the dream of the king. That's Daniel chapter 2, verses 20 through 23. It's Daniel's declaration about God's power and provision for him. That's what that little part is. It's a declaration about God's power and provision for Daniel. Interestingly, Daniel's name, we said a second ago, Daniel's name means God is my judge. And in looking at those verses, we see clearly that Daniel trusted God to take care of him. Daniel didn't worry about what others thought or did, and he never doubted God's provision, power, or protection for him. We need to live more like Daniel and give the frustrations of our world to God. Okay, sounds nice to say, right? But how do you do that? How do you give your frustrations of the world to God? Well, we're going to jump into Psalms and then into Jeremiah, and we're going to check this out. Let's first go to Psalm 37. Psalm chapter 37. It's the 37th Psalm, and I think you're gonna like this. Psalm chapter 37, verses 23 and 24. Here it is. If the Lord delights in a man's way, he makes his steps firm. Though he stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. And then Jeremiah 33, verse 3, Jeremiah 33, verse 3, so good. It says this: Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things that you did not know. I'm going to read it again because it's so good. So good. Call to me, and I will answer. We're going to talk about that in a second. Call to me, and I will answer. That's a promise. That's a promise direct from God. Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. It's so good. And here's why the study notes are so good. There's a whole paragraph on this verse alone, but here's the very first part when it's talking about the call and I will answer, right? That promise. It's saying the prayers of God's people invite and assure God's response. The prayers of God's people to him not only invite God's response, but they assure God's response. I don't know what that does to you, but for me, man, that brings that helps my faith, that helps my confidence. Yesterday we talked about Hebrews 11:1, where we define faith, right? Faith is confidence in what we hope for, right? Well, this says, "Call to me and I will answer you." God's promising that He will respond to us. It's inviting and assuring God's response. That's how we give the frustrations of the world to God. We ask Him. We call to Him. We call out, God, God, help us. We give you these things. We give you the frustrations of the world. We just need to spend more time this week asking God how we can take the next steps to serve Him. We need to believe that God will judge what is going on around us while we are actively serving and trusting Him. So good. Hey, if you want to really figure out who God created you to be, if you really want to uncover your purpose, discover who God created you, discover your purpose, Growth Track is happening tonight at 8:15. Today's Tuesday, tonight at 8:15 p.m., directly following our live experience, our live worship service, which you got to check out if you haven't already this week. Tonight is another chance for a live experience. You got to check that out. Listen, the author of Hebrews says that do not give up meeting together, right? Do not give up gathering together. If you're not getting together with people and you're just watching on demand, or you're watching this later in the day and not actually interacting with someone, you're missing out on a part of that gathering. You're missing out a part of that togetherness that we all need so desperately. So don't ignore what the author of Hebrews said. I keep saying that because we're not actually sure who wrote Hebrews, but don't miss out on what the author of Hebrews has to say about that. And tonight is Growth Track Step 2, right after that service at 8:15. Find out more at watersedgechurch.net/growth track, but make sure that you complete step 2. You really will discover your purpose. You'll figure out what your spiritual gifts are. You may not even know that you had them, but you can find them out there, as well as a personality test, and really be able to figure out how you can use your gifts and be filled. And then you'll know that you were made to fulfill your purpose. So join me for that tonight at 8:15 p.m. Again, you can find out more on our website. Hey, everybody, tomorrow I'm excited. We're going to jump back in to Daniel and 1 Corinthians. It's going to be a great time together tomorrow morning, again at 7:30 a.m. for our third daily devotional. And I know you're loving my Hawaiian shirt today. It's awesome. It's almost summertime. I'm excited for it. All right, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow at 7:30.